Hello. So, I want to talk about another issue that's pretty close to my heart. Pretty close to my heart and my just the way I do things, and that is talking about androgyny and about how, in my eyes, it's kind of being overshadowed by the trans movement. Now, when people hear that, I know they're going to think I'm going to be bashing on trans people, which is not true. That would be inaccurate for people to think. What I'm talking about, when I say that, what I mean is I see a lot of coverage and a lot of exposure and a lot of support for trans individuals, for trans rights, for trans people to get more freedoms, for work discrimination to be done away with when it comes to trans issues, and all of that I'm 100% behind. What I'm talking about is the trans people are getting the right to express themselves how they wish, but I'll be honest, I don't have that. Or I don't think I do. And I don't think people like myself really do. Like in the workplace, okay? If I work in a job where I couldn't show up dressed like this or with makeup or that sort of thing. Well, makeup I could. There's no reason I couldn't wear makeup or have colored nails. My nails aren't covered today, sorry. But what I'm sort of getting at is, in like a job environment, there would still be dress codes for men and women, and the men would be restricted to what they have to wear, and women would be restricted to what they have to wear. However, if there is a male who is transitioning at the time, they have the freedom to wear whatever they wish. And although this is relatively new, and I am all for this, I thought it was bullshit in the first place where there were gendered dress codes in the first place. But as a male, I would be forced to wear the male outfit. I could not throw in a skirt or leggings or something like that if it was that sort of job environment. This I find a problem. It just seems like the trans movement is kind of leaving androgyny behind, or just completely abandoning it, or not even paying attention to it. Probably because it's extremely small. This is something else that I don't think is helping the trans movement, is androgynous models who make their name and their fame by being androgynous, announcing their transition. Once again, I don't hold it against them for doing this. If this is what they want to do, that's great. At the same time, it's kind of making it look like it's kind of feeding the stereotype of well, what I've heard about cross-dressers is, what's the difference between a cross-dresser and a transsexual? About 4 years. Ha 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 ha. That's not very funny. It's kind of a stereotype. And androgyns, or androgynous people who dress androgynously, fall into the category of cross-dresser. So it's like, I'm not sure what we can do about it, or what can be done about it. Like I said, androgyny, true androgyny, is like kind of on a very small scale, and so it's kind of hard, I guess, for us to gain more freedoms and more rights. This isn't a civil rights issue. This is basically this a freedom to dress as we wish and look how we wish. Yeah, it's a freedom. It's a thing about freedom of expression. I guess that's a civil right, but it's like it's not one of those big important things. You know what it is? I think what I feel, or what I think, is it should be an across-the-board thing. yes, trans should be getting more rights. No, actually, humans should be getting more rights, should be getting more freedom of expression, as Amber just said. I think that's what it is. I get in trouble for saying this, but I do think a lot of people who are transitioning are doing it so that they can have the freedom to express themselves as they wish. And they feel that they're women because of this. And I'll say it, I can no more feel like a woman than I can feel like a cat. I was raised a boy in a Catholic family, and a Catholic middle-class family. I have no idea what it's like to be raised as a rich middle-class family. I have no idea what it's like to be raised as a girl in such a family. I have no idea. I can never know. That's because my experience is my own. And, sorry, my nose is itching. So it's like, I run myself into these little roadblocks, and so it's like, well, Amber, what do you have to say?
Oh boy. Okay, now I don't think that. Okay, a lot of these people who are claiming trans, and I know I've said this before, a lot of these people who are claiming trans that aren't transitioning, they're not really trans because they're not transitioning. They seem to be like, oh, let's get rid of gender norms, which is fine, because you really can't transition if your gender identity is either fluid or changes periodically throughout time, or is some other thing. You can't transition to something, you know, you can play with your sex and stuff to make it feel, you know, your body biologically to make it feel more in line with whatever gender you are, but if that changes or you identify as something in between or something different, then you're not going to be able to transition to that. So they're not really trans in that way. They're more of a how I see them as they're transcending the sort of gender norms, which is fine. I wish they would be less obnoxious about it at times, depending on who they are. Some of them are fine. Some of them within the movement are assholes. We already know that.
Yeah.
So I think they're still there. Androgyny is still there. It's just not being called androgyny.
No, that's true. It's called. I've seen it be called non-binary. That is a term I've heard. It's non-binary. Yeah, that's gender fluid. That's another one. To an extent, because like I said, when I put this stuff on that I wear, I don't feel like I'm a woman or anything like that. I just, you know, basically saying there's no reason I can't. There's no reason I should have to limit myself from this, or other people should have to limit themselves to what society says they have to wear. Amber raised up an interesting point. What did you say you were?
About.
Oh man.
Well, I said that they were androgynous, but they were engaging in androgyny, but they weren't calling it that way.
Yeah.
I talked about that.
Yeah.
Is it related to that?
It was. I just.
I said some of them were obnoxious.
No, it wasn't that. It was. It was this notion of. And it slipped my mind. I'm sorry about that. But the point that she made, it triggered it triggered. It ticked in my mind something I wanted to say, and it just completely slipped my mind. It was about the gender fluid, idea, and those sorts of things. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments, and I will try to explain them, if you care. That's really all I have right now. I really wish my mind hadn't slipped on what I wanted to actually ask, or what I wanted to go further into. Alright, well, thank you very much.